We love a good financial quick tip,
Yeah.
something you can put into practice like right away.
Right.
But let's face it, some money issues, they're a little more, they're a little more complicated than that.
Absolutely.
Credit card debt. Ugh. It's like,
Yeah.
it's practically its own category of problem, right?
It is. It's really common.
It's so common, and those interest rates are brutal.
Yeah.
So today we're diving into some surprisingly good advice, and this is kind of ironic.
Okay.
It's from Corporate Debt Recovery.
Oh, interesting.
And you might be thinking, wait a minute, isn't that a debt collection agency?
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They are, and we're looking at 2 blog posts from them both titled, How to Clear Credit Card Debt Fast. Talk about knowing your enemy.
It's like getting cooking tips from a restaurant critic, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They've seen it all, so they know what really works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not trying to sugarcoat how real debt is. And they're like the first people to tell you those high interest rates, those are bad news. Like that's the big danger zone.
Yeah. And I think that's where their perspective is really interesting, right? Because they make money when people are struggling with debt.
Right.
So for them to come out and say it's really important to get out of high interest debt as quickly as possible,
Right.
that says something, That means they really mean it.
So it's not just like a scare tactic
Yeah.
to get us to, behave.
I don't think so, no. I think they lay out some pretty 10 solid strategies. Some of them you've probably heard before.
Right.
But I think what's useful is they're seeing it through the lens of someone who deals with this every day.
Yeah, they see it every day. So both of these posts, they start by going right at that big problem, those high interest rates.
Mm-hmm.
They don't mess around, do they?
No, they get right to the point. And, they even give an example right now. Imagine you've got $5,000 in credit card debt, and it's at like a 20% interest rate.
Oh, that's common, sadly.
If you're only making the minimum payments each month,
Right.
you're going to end up paying over $2,000 in interest alone over the life of that debt.
Ouch.
Yeah.
That just stings. That's adding insult to injury.
It is.
But to their credit, they don't just leave us with that and they're like, see ya. They actually give us things we can do about it.
Yes, they do.
They get right into the strategies. And the first one, budgeting,
Yeah.
might seem kind of obvious,
Yeah.
but they come at it from a different angle, I thought.
Yeah. Well, and they talk about, it's not just about, giving up your daily latte.
Yeah.
It's about finding those expenses that you don't even think about.
Yes.
Like those sneaky subscriptions.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like that. Or, that thing you pick up at the convenience store on your way home from work every day.
Every single day, yeah.
And it's just like those little things can add up.
Absolutely. They really do.
Yeah.
Little leaks sink ships, as they say.
Exactly.
They even had this one suggestion. I kind of love this. They said, channel your inner Marie Kondo and ask yourself,
Okay.
does this expense spark joy?
I love that.
And if not,
Get rid of me.
get rid of it. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's about being more mindful. Right. And they give you some actually practical tips about sticking to your budget, which I thought was useful.
Right. Beyond just, write it down.
Yeah. They talk about automating your savings and using cash envelopes for different categories, which, I haven't used cash in ages, but I can see how if you physically see the money,
Yes.
like leaving your wallet,
Yeah, it makes a difference.
it does,
Yeah.
and I think what they're getting at is creating those friction points that make it a little bit harder to spend money on those impulse purchases.
It's so easy to just, especially if you're using something like Apple Pay, it's like
Oh, yeah.
you don't even think about it.
Doesn't even feel like money. Yeah. Yeah. And I think speaking of friction points, they also talk about negotiating with your creditors, which I know a lot of people are. They're kind of afraid to do that.
Yeah. It's very intimidating.
It can be, but these guys see it from both sides, right?
Yeah.
They're the ones collecting the debt.
Yeah.
But they're also saying, you know what? Creditors often would much rather work with you
Really?
than have to resort to more drastic measures. It's cheaper for them in the long run.
Oh, okay.
So they're the ones saying, like, it's worth picking up the phone and asking for what you need.
So we should be channeling our inner negotiator, like asking for lower interest rates, waiving fees, those kinds of things.
Yeah, and I think what they emphasize is being polite but firm.
Okay.
Explain your situation honestly, and be prepared to, offer a realistic payment plan.
So be prepared.
Okay. Right. They've seen it work, and they even say, have all of your information handy, like your interest rates, your balances, your due dates. Have it all right there in front of you when you make that phone call.
Okay, so that's a good tip.
Yes.
Be prepared.
Be prepared.
Don't just cold call and be like,
right, exactly.
hey, what can we do here?
Yeah, can you help me out?
Help me out.
Yeah.
Now, they also had some pro tips on some other things that I think they're a little more complicated and people don't really know, what to do with them. And that's balance transfers
Right.
and debt consolidation.
Yeah, and I think they do a good job of kind of demystifying it a little,
Okay.
right? Because it can seem really complicated, but when you break it down, a balance transfer is basically just moving your debt
Right.
from one place to another.
To a new
To a
home.
new home, exactly.
Hopefully one with a lower interest rate.
Right, exactly. Yeah, like refinancing your mortgage, but for your credit card.
Got it. Okay.
So you're basically just playing the credit card companies against each other.
I like it.
Yeah.
To get a better deal.
To get a better deal. And sometimes you can even get those 0% APR introductory offers for like a year,
Oh, yeah.
which can be a great way to get some breathing room
Yeah.
to like really tackle that principal balance.
Okay.
But, and this is key, read the fine print.
Of course.
Yeah, make sure you understand the terms, like what are the transfer fees, what's the interest rate going to jump up to after that introductory period ends.
Right, because there's always a catch.
There is.
Okay, so that's balance transfer. What about debt consolidation? What is that?
So debt consolidation is really about simplifying, right?
Okay.
So instead of having all these different credit card payments
Right.
every month with different interest rates, different due dates,
Yep.
you're basically just like taking all of those and like rolling them up into one.
Got it.
So it's one payment, one interest rate.
Okay.
And it can just be a lot easier to manage. And sometimes, you can get a lower interest rate.
Right, just kind of consolidating it.
Consolidating it. Exactly. Exactly.
So it's like taking a big tangled mess of Christmas lights.
Yes.
And you just, wrap them up neatly into one.
Exactly. Exactly. But just like with balance transfers, it's important to shop around.
Okay.
Compare offers. Make sure it makes sense for your situation.
Don't just jump at the first one you see.
Exactly.
Right, do your research. Okay.
Do your research. Ask questions.
Okay.
Make sure you understand the terms before you sign on the dotted line.
Now, those are some bigger, more complicated ones. What about just like the small wins every day? Did they have advice on that kind of thing?
They did. They did. They were big on what they called found money moments.
Oh, okay.
Like tax refunds.
Oh, yeah.
Bonuses.
Okay.
Or like that $20 bill you find in your coat pocket.
Oh, yeah. Or like when you're like cleaning out your purse, like
Yes.
the bottom of your purse.
Exactly. And their advice was, don't let that money burn a hole in your pocket.
Don't spend it.
Don't spend it. Throw it at your debt.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
It's like giving your money a higher purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like instead of like that, random impulse purchase, it's like, no, you're going towards, my credit card freedom fund or something,
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, you gotta make it fun.
You do.
You gotta give yourself something to like work towards, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now the last thing I thought was really interesting is that they actually recommend, sometimes you need to get some help.
Yes.
And I think they actually recommend seeking professional help if you're feeling overwhelmed. And let's be real, a lot of us, when it comes to debt, we feel overwhelmed.
Right. And I think that's huge.
Yeah.
Right? That a debt collection agency is coming out and saying, hey, it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
They see the toll that this takes on
Yeah.
people, and they're acknowledging that sometimes you need an objective expert in your corner.
It's like they're saying, we see this every day, and we know that sometimes you need some backup.
Yeah, totally. And it really it changes how we think about asking for help,
Right. It makes it seem more normal.
It makes it normal. It's not a failure. It's not a weakness.
Right.
It was actually a really smart thing to do.
And I think it also just acknowledges that debt, it's not just a numbers problem.
It's so not. That's exactly what I was thinking. It's like,
Yeah.
it comes with all of this emotional baggage.
Yes.
The stress, the shame.
Oh, that is shame. So much shame.
So much shame, and fear. And it's like those feelings, they can really prevent you from making any progress.
Totally. You just want to put your head in the sand
Exactly.
and ignore it. So, it's one thing to know, okay, these are the steps I should be taking.
Right.
But if you don't have the emotional, I don't know, capacity, I guess, to actually do those steps, then it doesn't really matter.
Absolutely. And that's why I think, having someone in your corner can be so helpful, whether that's, a financial advisor, a therapist, even just a friend.
Someone to hold you accountable.
Yes. Someone to hold you accountable, someone to talk you off the ledge when you need it.
To be your cheerleader, too.
Yes, absolutely.
I love it.
You need a cheerleader for your finances.
Yes, we all do.
For sure.
So it's like having a personal trainer, but for your money, right?
Exactly.
They're there to push you and, keep you motivated.
Yeah. And speaking of motivation, I think what really stood out to me in these blog posts is how much they emphasize shifting your mindset. Like, it's not just about getting out of debt, it's about staying out of debt.
Okay, so it's not just about getting to the finish line. It's like, what do you do after you've crossed that finish line?
Totally. Because otherwise, you're just going to end up right back where you started.
Exactly, in that cycle.
Yeah. And, they talked about building sustainable financial habits,
Okay, like what?
like actually tracking your spending, setting realistic goals,
Right.
and even having like a freedom fund, you know?
Oh, I love that for those unexpected expenses.
Yes. So that when that car repair bill
Or
comes,
like your washing machine breaks.
exactly, or whatever it is, you're not completely thrown off and you don't have to like resort to putting it back on the credit card.
Dude, plan.
You have a plan. It's about being proactive,
I love that.
taking control instead of feeling like your finances are controlling you.
Okay, so much good stuff here. We've talked about everything from interest rates to like the emotional side of debt to mindset.
Right.
Um, what would you say are your biggest takeaways from these posts?
I think for me, it's that consistent action really matters, even small steps.
Okay.
Even if you can't like pay off your entire credit card balance this month,
Right.
making an extra payment, negotiating a lower interest rate, like those things add up over
It's
time.
that whole slow and steady wins the
Right,
race. Hey,
exactly, exactly. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
yeah, and you're not alone.
You are not alone.
We all need help with this stuff sometimes,
Absolutely.
right? And sometimes you just need someone else to walk alongside you to
Totally.
help you through it.
Absolutely.
So I think that's a really important point that they made. It's not a failing to ask for help.
It's not, it's smart.
It's smart.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of really great information in these two blog posts. How to clear credit card debt fast, which who knew that a debt collection agency would be the one to give such good advice?
You wouldn't expect it, but they see it every day.
They do. So
Mm.
any final thoughts for our listeners as we kind of wrap up our deep dive on this topic?
I think, the posts focus on credit card debt,
Right.
but you can apply those principles to really any kind of debt,
Oh, that's a good point.
whether it's, student loans, personal loans, even that loan you got from your, well-meaning but very
Yeah, persistent.
persistent relative.
That's a good point. So it's really about just being smart with your money no matter what the source of the debt is.
Exactly. Exactly. It's about financial literacy, taking control of your own financial well-being.
Yes. Love it. Well, this has been really interesting. I feel like I learned a lot. So thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. And until next time, keep swimming towards that financial freedom.
That's all right.
See you later.